going to start out with conventional trailer hitches. First of all, it's very important to match the tow vehicle to the trailer that you're going to tow. Never exceed the manufacturer's weight ratings on your tow vehicle. It's also very important to make sure that the hitch is rated for the load. Now, all hitches are rated by classes. This bumper hitch is a Class 1, rated for no more than a 2,000-pound trailer weight and 200 pounds of hitch weight. This hitch is suitable only for small trailers. Now, hitches suitable for RV towing will generally be Class 3 or 4. These hitches are bolted or welded to the tow vehicle frame, and they have receivers designed to accept standard hitch components. Here's a chart that shows the different hitch classes and their ratings. You'll probably need a Class 4 hitch for most towable RVs. It's important that your tow vehicle be equipped with a trailer brake controller to control the brakes on your trailer, and also to have adequate mirrors so that you can see behind you when you're towing. Now, here's a tip. If your stock mirrors aren't large enough for towing, you can purchase a mirror extension. These little devices attach very easily to the mirrors, usually with just a couple clips. Sometimes they're a little tough to get on there. There we go. And then we cinch it up, turning this little knob, and that pulls it right in tight against the mirror. Now, these are very handy because when you're done towing, they're very easy to remove. Thankfully, this vehicle's mirrors are adequate for the trailer that we're towing today. Before you hitch up, you should always do a visual inspection of all the hitch components, looking for any kind of damage or wear. It's important to make sure that the coupler latch moves freely. It's also important to check the safety chains to see if there's been any damage to them. Make sure that the ball is the proper size for the hitch receiver. Common sizes are 1 7/8, 2 inch, and 2 5/8 inches. These sizes will be stamped on the ball and also on the receiver. Finally, check to be sure the hitch is firmly attached to the vehicle and that the hitch pin is in place. Also, make sure the ball is firmly attached. Now, here's a tip. You can replace this stock hitch pin with a locking hitch pin. This locking hitch pin will guarantee that your pin and your receiver will stay attached to your tow vehicle. Now, if this is the first time you've towed this trailer with this tow vehicle, now's a good time to take some measurements that'll help you set the hitch up correctly. I'm going to measure from the ground to the top of the bumper with the vehicles parked on a level surface, and then write that number down. Now we'll take the same measurement at the front bumper and write that number down. Now, hang on to these numbers because we're going to use these in a minute. Okay, now let's back up and line up the hitch. Now, this may appear to be a daunting task at first, but if you have a co-pilot, it can be a lot easier. Just be sure to agree on some hand signals before you start. The goal is to position the hitch ball squarely below the coupler. Okay, once you're in position, go ahead and set your emergency brake, and then shut her down. Now, just in case you don't have a co-pilot handy, or a handy co-pilot, there are some great RV gadgets out there that will allow you to see what you're doing right here from the driver's seat. Here, let me show you a couple. Now, here's a neat gadget to help you get everything lined up. It's actually a convex mirror, and it has a magnet mount and an adjustable pole. This whole thing just sets right on the tongue of the trailer, and then we can easily adjust this mirror up and get it to where we can see it from the cab of the truck. This will allow us to see the ball and the receiver clearly. A different option from the mirror are these cute little hitch aids. They have magnetic bases, little tennis balls on top, and they're telescopic. The way you use these is you take the first one and attach it to the tongue of the trailer, and then attach the other one with the magnet to the hitch on the truck. Then extend them so that we can see them from the tow vehicle, and then tweak them until the balls are touching and lined up. Now, to save trouble next time, what you do is you mark that position on both the truck and the trailer with a permanent marker. That way, the next time you're ready to hitch up, you can easily set and adjust these two little poles, and then as you back up, all you have to do is back up until these balls touch, and you'll be all lined up. Now there are lots of other gadgets out there to help you get hitched up. You go by someplace that sells RV parts and accessories, I'm sure they'll have something that will work well for you. Well, now that we're lined up, it's time to get hitched up. Make sure that the coupler latch is released and open. Then use the tongue jack to lower the coupler onto the ball. Make sure the coupler is fully seated on the hitch ball. And then close the coupler latch and insert a safety pin or a clip to keep it closed. Now we need to hook up the safety chains. Safety chains should always be crossed underneath the coupler so that if the trailer ever did become separated from the tow vehicle, these chains would help keep the coupler from striking the road. The chains will be attached to hard points on the tow vehicle's hitch. Now here's a tip. You can pick up some of these neat little chain menders. They make it very easy to adjust your chain and very easy to attach that chain to the tow vehicle. These are very strong. They're much stronger than ordinary hooks, and they attach just like that. Now it's very important to make sure that these chains don't have too much slack in them where they would drag on the roadbed, but you don't want them so tight that they will bind in the turns. Okay, the next thing we need to do is hook up the spring bars for our weight distributing hitch. But first, what is a weight distributing hitch anyway? Well, let me show you. Here's a typical truck and trailer combination with their weights shown. When hitched with only a weight carrying hitch, the tongue weight of the trailer really loads the tow vehicle at the rear, causing instability. The weight distributing hitch allows us to distribute the weight evenly by adjusting the hitch's spring bars. These bars act as levers to bring the hitch back to a level position. Now the easiest way to set the spring bars up is to raise the coupler above level. Get it up high enough so you get some mechanical advantage when you go to attach the spring bar chains. Now each spring bar is inserted into the hitch and swing it around and attach the chain to this A-frame chain mount. Don't worry about which link to use right now, just pick one about in the middle. Now this can be tensioned using a cheater bar, and then a pin will hold it in place. It's the same routine with the second side for the spring bar. Just make sure you use the same link in the chain as you used on the other side. We'll tension that and put the safety pin in. Now, using the tongue jack, we're going to lower the tongue of the trailer until the pad for the jack is free of the ground. Now, remember those measurements we took earlier? This is where they come in handy. Now, if the hitch is set correctly, the tow vehicle should still be level. It may be a little lower to the ground, but the height should have changed equally at the front and the rear. If that's not the case, then you will need to adjust the spring bars and choose a different link in the chain. And you'll need to do this as sort of experimentally until you find that perfect setting where the tow vehicle is nice and level. Then once that's happened, you will take a look at the trailer. If the trailer is level, you're done. Now once you've determined which link in the chain to use on your equalizer arms, best thing to do is to mark it with something so it'll be easy to pick the right link the next time you hitch up. One way to do that is with a tie wrap. Just cinch the tie wrap up around it and cut the end off. You can also just hit it with a quick shot of spray paint. Once you're sure the truck is good and level, take a look at the trailer. If the trailer is not level, then the ball mount, the height of the ball mount, is the thing that will need to be adjusted. This is a typical adjustable ball mount. It has some big bolts in there you can remove, and you can see these holes here that allow you to move this ball mount up and down on the stinger that comes out of your tow vehicle. Once you get it all locked up, the tow vehicle and the trailer should be nice and level. Finally, be sure to retract the tongue jack all the way so that it cannot drag on the ground. Now don't worry, you won't have to cart that tape measure and that pad and pencil around with you every time you hitch up. Once you've got everything dialed in and you've got those links marked, it's going to be real simple. Just set it back up exactly the same way every time. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to hook up our lights and our brakes. Start off with a lighting connector. It's pretty simple. connector just plugs into the receptacle on the tow vehicle. Always be sure to check your trailer's running lights every single time you hitch up. Now, an easy way to do that is actually turn on your four-way flashers and your parking lights. All right, now we need to check the brake controller and make sure our trailer brakes are working properly. Check your owner's manual for your brake controller. There should be a big difference between brakes connected and working, see the LED, and brakes not connected. See the difference? We also need to connect the brake system breakaway lanyard to the tow vehicle. This breakaway switch will apply the trailer brakes in the unlikely event that the trailer becomes separated from the tow vehicle. This lanyard will pull this pin out of the switch applying the brakes, but only if this end of the lanyard is firmly attached to the tow vehicle. Okay, make sure that all the safety chains and cords and lanyards have enough slack to accommodate a tight turn, but not drag on the ground. Now, let's talk a little bit about trailer sway. Trailer sway is the side-to-side fishtailing motion of the trailer. It's often caused by passing large vehicles. Because the hitch point is well behind the tow vehicle's rear axle, the trailer is able to exert significant forces on the tow vehicle. Now, to help control sway, some hitches will have anti-sway devices like this friction sway control unit or this Reese dual cam sway control. With any sway control device, it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions for both installation and for operation. Now, these devices can help a lot with trailer sway, but one of the things that you can do that will help even more is to ensure that you have at least 10% of the total trailer weight right here sitting on the hitch ball. In fact, in some rigs, 12 to 15% is actually better. Now, the only way to be certain that you have that is to take your rig either to a truck scale or to an RV rally where there is a RV weighing booth there. Get it weighed, get that 10% on the pin, and it will handle so much better. All right, we got everything hooked up, everything's tight, we're ready to go down the road. So first we'll just do a quick walk around. Once you've reached your destination, it's time to unhitch. Unhitching is pretty simple. It's just what we did to hitch up, but all done in reverse. But first, level the rig side to side. Then, chock the trailer wheels. Now, we want to raise the coupler of the trailer above level to help take the load off of the spring bars. Makes them easier to disconnect. I'm going to release this spring bar and remove it from the hitch. I'm going to release this spring bar, same way. Also remove it from the hitch. Next, let's remove the sway control. Now, lower the tongue so that the trailer weight is resting on the ball again. This allows us to release the coupler latch. Now the ball can be lifted free. The coupler can be lifted free of the ball. That's good. Next, we will disconnect the lanyard for the breakaway. The electrical connection, and the safety chains. Okay, once everything's disconnected, move the tow vehicle out of the way. Then you can finish leveling the rig. Now let's talk about hitch maintenance. Maintaining your hitch is actually very simple. Mostly consists of keeping things clean and properly lubricated. Keep a thin film of grease on the ball. You don't need much. Occasionally, wipe this old grease off and replace it with some fresh. Well, here's a tip for you. You can take a small can or a plastic cup and glue a small round magnet inside of there. Then this can be placed over the hitch ball to keep it clean and also to keep the stray grease off of your clothes. Always keep the inside of the coupler clean. and make sure that the coupler latch moves freely. Inspect both of the spring bars for any sign of damage or wear. If you find any, don't take a chance. Replace both spring bars as a set. These bars should also be lubricated on this end where they go into the hitch. Check the safety chains on the trailer. What you're looking for is any sign of damage. What you'll find sometimes is links that have been dragged on the ground. If you find these on a safety chain, replace the chain. Finally, our sway controls don't require a lot of maintenance. Be careful never to paint or lubricate a sway control. And check the friction surface of the sway control to make sure that the pads are not overly worn. Always check the electrical cord, make sure there are no frays, damage, or cuts in it. And then also check the connector, make sure that these contacts are kept clean and dry. It's a good idea to periodically check the bolts that attach the hitch to your tow vehicle to make sure they're good and tight. And while you're down here is a good time to inspect the hitch components. Check for any sign of excessive corrosion or wear. That looks pretty good. Finally, inspect all hitch components for any sign of rust or damage. And if you find rust, wire brush it off and then coat it with fresh paint. With regular maintenance, your hitch components will give you dependable service for the life of your RV. Okay, folks, that concludes our segment on conventional trailer hitches.